What's up with the what's up, beloved? Welcome to my diary. I'm Tatami, and today I want to talk about police escalation in residential or crowded situations that results in like innocent bystanders being killed, maimed, injured in some way, and by extension, the kind of mind game they play afterwards, wherein no matter how big or tiny the infraction they were pursuing is, they blame the criminal for the fact that they made the situation so dangerous that someone else died who wasn't even a part of any of this. And I think, there's a huge portion of the population that's just been thoroughly brainwashed and whipped to believe that's acceptable for us to hold teenagers or impoverished people who have been through no training to a much higher standard than the police, who are supposed to be able to handle this weaponry or supposed to be able to handle these situations. They're the best response. We can't defund them because who are we gonna call if we can't call them? People have put them on this huge pedestal, but yet and still I'm supposed to hold random people out on the street to a higher standard than these police. When I'm talking about escalating, I'm talking about things such as high speed chases in the suburbs or in cities. I'm talking about things like getting into a shootout with at the intersection or at a public park or at some kind of crowded situation. You know what I'm saying? These people who are supposed to be trained are getting into shootouts. Like, one of the big ones that I can never get off my mind is, if you'll recall, I'm pretty sure somebody took like a FedEx truck hostage once, and the people had, the FedEx driver was in the back, the people who had taken the FedEx car hostage were like in the front. They were driving. Somehow everybody gets caught up at an intersection, busy intersection. Other humans are all around, parked at this intersection, and somehow the police decide it's time to just shoot up the FedEx car, and they did shoot the hostage. The person who was just trying to drive the truck was shot as he tried to escape because they were just shooting. And that was like, people were like, well, if they hadn't taken if they hadn't shot it, they weren't planning on killing this guy, or at least not at this time in the middle of an intersection. There's a good chance he could have lived had they shown any discretion. I've also noticed that this has happened on in the suburbs. There's times where they get into high speed chases with people crashing into buildings. Kids have died, adults have died, people have gotten seriously injured. Multiple times this has happened, and yet they still engage, even when it's illegal, even when they're not allowed to get into these high-speed chases. Nor is it something that you're like, this needs to be solved now. It's now or never. There's not very many situations that are now or never, and it certainly isn't as often as it seems to occur on their little rounds. You know what I'm saying? They act like every situation is some kind of diehard situation, when in reality there's no situation like that is typically occurring. They don't deal with that many situations like that, but yet they escalate it as though they're about to save, this is fucking national treasure. They're about to save the Constitution by getting into this shootout or getting into this high speed chase. And recently, I the reason I bring this up after seeing all those was because I keep seeing these articles pop up about like 3 cops who, there were some teens who had guns, I guess, and so the cops decided to shoot in a busy place, in a busy like park or something, and they decided to just shoot and shoot and shoot, and ended up killing a child, ended up killing like an 8-year-old little girl. And people, like, I noticed in the comment section of a video, one of the videos that popped up, not just the article, but a video had also popped up, and that's why I clicked on it to see. But people were trying to be like, oh, well, like, if these criminals, but it's like, I'm not gonna hold these random criminals to teenage criminals, by the way, also teenagers, children. I'm not gonna hold children to a higher standard than police, who could look around with their own own blinking eyes see mothers and children around at this park, see parents, see random, I don't care if you have no kids, I don't care if you aren't married, if you're just a single person walking around going to work or something, you do not need to deal with that. You should not have to deal with that. And if these children are not doing anything like that, if these children are doing something like that, these adults who are trained, not just random adults, not just like me walking around, these people are supposedly trained adults, should be held to a higher standard. They should not be applauded, and absolutely they need to start being held accountable for the deaths that occur when they escalate a situation, when they take a situation to a level it does not need to be at. And the fact that all three of them got charged leads me to believe, even though I haven't seen anything, I'm guessing they all were shooting, is what that tells me. And so I mean, I only watched the video, I've gone through an article, I haven't seen anything that said directly that yet, because it's all just talking about the fact that the charges against the teens were dropped on that regard, and that the cops were being held accountable for the child's death. But it just kind of, it kind of almost reminds me of, like, you know, like the Breonna Taylor, where like they were all just shooting willy-nilly at the house and they got somebody, and they only got charged for the bullets that didn't hit the house, because they did have bullets that didn't hit the house, because of course they did. And so it's just like this idea that we keep giving these cops this like deference to do whatever the fuck they want to do, and passes whenever they fuck up so royally, is just beyond me. It's like, what do you guys think the cop's job is? Do you think it's the cop's job to be hitting your head on the car on the way in? Do you think it's the cop's job to be treating you crazy at the county jail? Do you think it's the cop's job to be harassing you and trying to find things to hurt you with, and tack on to the ticket that they've given you? Do you guys think that's their job, or is it their job to be giving you a ticket if they see an infraction and taking you in so that you can get your day in court, if it so is at that level? Like, it's not their job to be executing people. It's not their job to be doling out punishments. They are not the judge, jury, and executioner. That should not be what we think that their job is. But for some reason, we have a lot of people out there who just don't seem to understand what role the cops are supposed to be fulfilling. So every time the cops line step, as the habitual line steppers that they are, people are just, well, you know, I mean, he did step that line, but he's the police. We need to stop just letting that go. And I'm really glad that these people were being held accountable for this child's death, and that we're not just passing it on to a bunch of teenagers who a situation was escalating around them, and these people with their brains not even fully developed made a mistake with how they decided to handle this. I'm glad we're not just pawning this death off onto them. I'm glad that the police are the ones who are going to have to be held accountable, because it's just absolutely, frankly, unacceptable that they think it's okay to be acting like they're in a freaking movie. They're to be acting like they're in some kind of, you know, threat level midnight situation, when in matter of fact, you have nothing. This is not what you should be doing. You should not be putting everybody else in danger because one person might get away with something, or because one person is making you mad, or because one person is out here and you think that what it's okay to kill 10 people to get one person? Is that what they think? Is that how they're really, are we gonna really accept that? So it's really, you know, sad to me to see how beat people are when it comes to the fucking cops, because people are out here just accepting any old type of treatment, any old type of behavior, and that's not making anybody safer. It's not making anything safer, nor is it helping a community come together, which we all have clearly learned, I think, over the last 2-3 years of COVID or whatever, that we don't have community like that. We don't. We just don't. And anything like this is not going to make that better. It's not going to solve that problem. I'm frankly tired of that, and I wish people understood, you know, what the police's job was and what they want to see from the police, instead of being so scared to just criticize the police, so scared to defund the police, so scared to ask for some kind of punishment to the police. Oh, well, nobody will want to be a police anymore. Good. We shouldn't want anybody in their fucking dad who didn't, you know, who just wants to hold a gun and get one over on people to just be the fucking cops. We shouldn't want that anyways. The same way people don't want to all be doctors, because it's going to take a good long while in school, and it's going to do all these other things. You know, you're going to have to see things you don't want to see. We have to be able to like paint the police in some kind of light in that similar way, where we're not just letting anybody just get in and escalate situations and put the rest of us in danger. It's just unacceptable. At any rate, thank you so much for watching. May your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads, and I will see you next time.